There's so much going on right now. We're wanting to expand in the areas that we got clarity around earlier this year, but it feels like we are challenged by what's going on in the area of life that you have Aries ruling, because we have so much happening across the board right now. It's like we're being pushed and pulled between this big internal transformation and externally embody our values and our self-worth. Hi, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kelsey, here to teach you astrology and human design in a simple way you can easily understand. And in today's video, I want to talk about the current chaos that we're all experiencing. Now, I've been looking ahead at these transits for years. I just never anticipated they would be happening the way that they're happening, and I never would have thought that it is showing up in my life currently the way that it is. I've talked about this in other videos and in my inner circle membership. If you're in there, you know it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows, but it has been very empowering for me. I have Pluto starting to square my Mercury and Sun in Taurus, so it's getting fun, I'll just say that. But the current transits are really adding that energy collectively as well. We have Saturn and Neptune on top of each other now, and that's going to happen throughout the summer. We have Jupiter and Cancer now, adding conflict and challenges to those planets, which is not helping. Like, there's this really big desire to expand in ways that maybe we've wanted to for a while, especially in the last year or so, more specifically the last 8 months. When we had Mars moving through Cancer and it retrograded there, we probably got a lot of clarity on how we want to move forward in the area of your chart that you have Cancer ruling. If you're a student of my Become an Astrologer course, you already know how to look at your chart for this, or if you've downloaded any of my classes or ebooks on learning astrology, you know how to read your chart for this, because that's what I teach in my courses. But whatever was brought up and gave us whatever clarity we received from the Mars retrograde through Cancer, now that Jupiter is in Cancer, we're getting another look at that area of our life, the house you have Cancer ruling, in an expansive way, right? Mars is all about taking action, forward momentum, energetic expression, but Jupiter is like, okay, how are you expanding in this area? How are you viewing it differently? Changing your belief systems to be more optimistic about whatever is happening in this area of your life. And like I said, with that squaring Saturn and Neptune and Aries, we're wanting to expand in the areas that we got clarity around earlier this year, but it feels like we are challenged by what's going on in the area of life that you have Aries ruling. So for me, that is my 7th house, and Jupiter in Cancer is now in my 10th house over some of my progressed planets as well, which is just adding another layer for me if you're in my inner circle or have taken my transit deep dive class and you already know how to look at your progress chart. It adds another layer to what's going on for you, because the progress chart is really like your evolution. It's like, okay, what are you focused on in terms of growth and evolving into and learning how to work with, as opposed to like your natal chart, or just kind of like what you were born with, but your progress chart is like the evolution of that. So with these things happening for me over my progressions and also affecting my natal placements, it has been a whirlwind. I have been really experiencing a lot of challenges and conflicts within my relationships, and more specifically that's tied to my home and the relationship that I have, or lack thereof, with the person that I'm currently renting my home from. And Saturn rules my 4th house, so it's no surprise to me that these themes are playing out as they are. Jupiter rules my 6th house, and it also rules my 3rd house, so it's affecting my work, it's affecting my day-to-day routines and just kind of like every area of life, because we have so much happening across the board right now. Like, that's not the only thing that's happening. We have, at this time that I'm filming this video, we have Mars starting to square Uranus, which is a big transit, really creating conflict and challenges between where we want to go and what we need to change in order to move forward. Also happening right now is Chiron trining Mars, so there is some harmony between what we're healing, the wounds and the triggers that we have worked on healing, stepping into a new identity around, and how we're taking forward action and momentum. But also the Sun in Gemini is challenging the North Node and South Node in Pisces. So there's this big conflict or challenge between what we need to do and release in order to go where we want to go, and how we're like showing up in the areas of life that these are for you in order to be able to do that. And again, what needs to release, what we need to let go of physically and mentally, energetically, in order to have this new beginning and move forward in the ways that we've been wanting to probably for quite some time. Especially as Chiron is wrapping up its cycle through Aries, we're really getting resolution around all the themes we've been healing, the wounds, the triggers, things that we've been working on healing for the past 6 or 7 years. Really, this is a huge, I feel like I talk about this in every single video that I do, but this is a huge closing out of a cycle and a chapter, and it's happening much more slowly than maybe we thought it would or wanted it to, but it is happening, I promise. and these transits are really propelling us into that, even if they are challenging in the moment. Also in alignment with that, there's so much going on right now. If you took my full moon workshop that I do every full moon in my inner circle, I just did one on the Sagittarius full moon, then you already kind of have an idea of my opinion on these things and how much they are just overwhelming us and feeling really disorienting and what is that word, like destabilizing. Venus is also squaring Pluto, so there is conflict and challenges between our values, our standards, our worth, and what needs to transform in order for us to really fully step into those, right? This is friction, this is tension between our values, what we're embodied in as it relates to money and relationships, and then something in our life that needs to really go through a transformative cycle, probably internally, since Pluto is currently retrograde while this is happening. It's like we're being pushed and pulled between this big internal transformation and externally embodying our values and our self-worth in a lot of ways and stepping into new dynamics with relationships and money as a whole. And I talked about this more in the weekly update that I did for this week. We are going to have the moon move over Pluto too and add tension to Venus this weekend as the Mars Uranus square is going exact. There's going to be a lot of tension in the sky. There's going to be like a lot of emotional triggers maybe that are brought up, or just emotional frustration that's brought up. So really have your grounding practices, really have the things that are going to help you through this time, not get lost in the sauce, not get swept up in the wave, but really ride it in ways that feel like good to you and feel nurturing for you, right? Mercury and Jupiter are in Cancer now. So our overall focus, like mental focus, is on what are we doing to take better care of ourselves, to support and nurture ourselves in the ways that we really need, especially as Mars wraps up its cycle in Leo. How can we embody joy in all the ways that it matters and all the ways that feel nurturing and supportive to us despite what's going on around us, right? It's almost like, how can we nurture our own safe, supportive inner world removed from, or like as a shield or protection from, what's going on all around us? Because we do have to bring in the lesser known aspects that are happening right now too. We have quite a few sextiles happening. We have a sextile happening between Venus and Mercury. Again, if you're in my Become an Astrologer course and you've taken the lesson on aspects, you already know about this aspect, but it is one that really promotes action that can create harmony. It needs to be acted upon. It's not like a trine where it's just like, oh, the gifts and the magic is here. No, it's kind of like you need to kind of act on these things in order to activate the harmony that can come from these energies. So we have that going on between Pluto and Saturn and Neptune. We have that going on between Venus and Mercury, and we have that going on also between the Sun and Mars. So there's a lot of potential harmony when we choose to make the most of what's happening and what's coming up for us, and not get, like I said, lost in the sauce and thrown on the rocks by these waves, right? It's almost like, okay, how can you build yourself a little boat or a little buoy, or learn to ride the waves instead of getting caught up and swept up in them, and that might cause you to feel like you're drowning. I lived by the ocean in Hawaii, and I can tell you the more you fight the current, the worse it gets. But as scary as it is, when you surrender to the current, the easier time you have, the easier things go for you, and the more you can enjoy the atmosphere and what's happening, right? We also have a sextile happening between the Sun and Chiron. So again, there's a lot of potential harmony right now when we are seeing that perspective of what's there, of what's possible, and we're choosing to act from that place of like, no, I'm not gonna let this get me down. Like, how can I go find joy? How can I go for a hike, or text a friend to hang out with, or throw a pool party, or whatever it is, you know? Like, how can you make the most of this time, not get swept up by the chaos, not get swept up by the anxiety or the mental chatter or whatever is coming up for you personally? How can you not let it run your life, and instead use your mind as a tool to take back your life from these circumstances, right? I feel like that's really the biggest lesson that we're all collectively in right now, and these transits are really amplifying that. I've been talking about this for a few months as the North Node has moved into Pisces and the South Node into Virgo. Like, that's kind of the collective theme for the next year. It started in January, so it is a 1.5-year cycle. We're a third of the way through it now. But really, that's all about how can you trust your intuition to nudge you in what direction to go, and surrender, have faith to that intuitive nudge or hit, because you never know why you're getting it truly until you act on it and you realize why you received that intuitive nudge or hit to do this certain thing. How can we release reliance on the mind and tune more into and trust our intuition through spiritual practices, or things that ground us us and help to feel like we are nourishing and supporting ourselves in the ways that we need right now through all the change and all the instability, right? So I feel like that's the major lesson right now and how we can kind of choose to make the most of it, even though it is pretty chaotic and it is pretty crazy. And I've talked about this in other videos. The summer isn't really gonna calm down much. I mean, I do think this week, the week of the 9th of June, is like the most intense, but I do also think it's gonna continue as we get into the summer. There are a lot of changes happening underneath the surface that are bleeding into our society, right, and into our collective. So having these practices that ground you, that help you to just stay centered, are going to be everything through the chaos and the changes that are still on the way and are probably not going to lighten up, at least until we get into like August or September, or maybe not even after that, because then we have eclipse season until October. So again, what can you do to take the best care of yourself and really be listening to your intuition, whether it you know, looking more into your human design for learning about your authority and how you're meant to make decisions through anything that's going on around you that might try to destabilize you or throw you off track, right? Your human design is your guidance system for living in alignment with your purpose and what is going to be best for you despite what's going on around you. Utilize these tools, right? And this is why I teach astrology and human design. I have courses on them because I want everybody to have these tools in their toolkit, because it can help you just understand yourself and your life and live a better life better than anything else ever could. So if you feel called, come join me there, or do your own due diligence on your charts and really start to understand how you can make the most of this time. I also do readings if you want one, astrologyhumandesign.com/book. But yeah, I mean, let me know in the comments as well if you want some support or are just like really feeling the weight of everything right now. Let me know what's going on based on your chart and how it's affecting you. I would love to just connect and support you in the comments. And just know that it's fine, it's all divine, it's all working out as it needs to in your favor always. So remember that when anything feels like too heavy or too much. And that is what I will leave you with in this video. If you have requests for other videos, let me know in the comments. Again, love to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!